The future of Rassie Erasmus and the Springboks is currently hanging in the balance, and it's the kind of rugby drama that has fans on the edge of their seats, with whispers circulating about contract negotiations, overseas interest, and the potential for South African rugby to lose its mastermind. This story has all the ingredients of a championship thriller. Let's set the scene. Rassie Erasmus, the double World Cup winning coach who has transformed the Springboks into an unstoppable force, currently has a contract with South African Rugby that runs until the end of the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia. But here's where things get interesting. According to recent reports from South African media, negotiations are heating up for an extension that could keep Erasmus at the helm well beyond that date. The question everyone's asking is simple but loaded with implications. Will Rassie stay, or will he walk away from the green and gold? The timing of these discussions couldn't be more crucial. Fresh off a dominant victory against France in Paris, Erasmus celebrated his 50th Test match as head coach of the Springboks. That's right, 50 matches, and he's sitting at an incredible 72% win rate. To put that in perspective, he's just 4 tests away from matching Jake White's national record of 54 matches as head coach. The man is writing history with every game, and South African rugby knows they can't afford to lose him. Sources within the South African Rugby Union have indicated that they're hoping to finalize a contract extension in the days following the November Test matches. One insider told the media that everyone involved wants this wrapped up sooner rather than later. And why wouldn't they? Under Erasmus's leadership, the Springboks have achieved what many thought impossible. 2 consecutive World Cup victories, dominating the Rugby Championship twice, defeating the British and Irish Lions on home soil and climbing from 7th in the world rankings to the #1 spot. No Springboks team has held that top ranking for as long as the Erasmus-led squad has since 2019. But here's where the plot thickens. Reports suggest that Erasmus isn't just looking for a short-term extension. He's reportedly seeking a deal that would take him all the way through to 2031, which would include the Rugby World Cup scheduled to take place in the United States. That's an ambitious timeline, one that would give him the opportunity to chase an unprecedented 3 consecutive World Cup titles in 2027 and potentially add a 4th in 2031. It's the kind of dynasty building that rugby has never seen before. What makes this situation even more complicated is that Erasmus isn't only thinking about his own future. He's also pushing for long-term security for his entire coaching staff. We're talking about Mzwandile Stick, Don Human, Felix Jones, Jerry Flannery, Dion Davids, Tony Brown, roving coach Dwayne Vermeulen, and National Laws Advisor Jacko Paper. All of their contracts also expire in 2027, and Erasmus wants assurances for the whole team. It's a package deal, and it shows the kind of loyalty and leadership that has made him such a successful coach. He understands that the Springboks' success isn't just about him. It's about the entire system he's built. Now, South African rugby is under serious pressure to make this happen because there's competition lurking in the shadows. Multiple reports have confirmed that at least 2 overseas clubs are monitoring Erasmus's situation closely. The exact identities of these clubs haven't been disclosed, but given his track record and reputation as one of the finest rugby minds in the world, you can bet these are major organizations with deep pockets. If South African rugby drags their feet or fails to meet Erasmus's expectations, they could lose him to Europe or Japan, where clubs would be more than happy to pay top dollar for his services. The same goes for his assistant coaches. Tony Brown, for example, remains highly sought after by other nations and clubs. The former All Blacks player was reportedly considered for a position with New Zealand's coaching staff if there had been a change in leadership. His creativity and tactical acumen make him a hot commodity. And if South African rugby wants to keep the band together, they'll need to offer competitive packages across the board. Let's talk about what Erasmus has meant to South African rugby beyond just the wins and losses. When he took over in 2018, the Springboks were in crisis. They had fallen to 7th in the world rankings. Morale was low, and the team seemed directionless. Erasmus didn't just fix the rugby side of things. He transformed the entire culture. His emphasis on detailed opposition analysis, strategic game planning, player empowerment, and data analytics revolutionized how the team prepared and performed. His methods, often called the Erasmus method, have become a blueprint for success in modern rugby. But perhaps his most significant contribution has been in the area of transformation. No Springboks coach has championed diversity and representation like Erasmus has. He took a team that was historically seen as representing an elite minority and turned it into the people's team, one that truly reflects the rainbow nation of South Africa. His selections have rewritten history and created a squad that the entire country can rally behind. That cultural shift is just as important as any trophy in the cabinet. The numbers tell the story of his success. A 72% win rate ranks as the 6th best in Springboks history. 2 World Cup titles, 2 Rugby Championship victories, a series win over the Lions, consecutive test victories in Australia. The Springboks have been number 1 in the world rankings longer under his watch than at any other time in history. These aren't just statistics. They're the building blocks of a golden era. So where does this leave us? The clock is ticking. Erasmus reportedly has lucrative offers waiting if South African rugby doesn't move quickly. The coaching staff is in the same boat, with their contracts all expiring in 2027. The upcoming weeks following the November internationals could determine the entire future direction of South African rugby for the next decade. If the Union can secure Erasmus and his team through 2031, the Springboks could continue their dominance and potentially achieve feats never before seen in rugby history. If they can't, well, South African fans might be watching their genius coach leading another nation or club to glory. The rugby world is watching closely. Fans are debating on social media. Pundits are speculating. And somewhere in all of this, Rassie Erasmus is preparing for his next match, focused on the job at hand while his future hangs in the balance. He's made it clear he wants to stay with the Springboks, but he also wants certainty for himself and his staff. The ball is firmly in South African rugby's court now. They know what they have. They know what they could lose. The question is whether they'll act decisively enough to keep the architect of their recent success where he belongs, leading the Springboks to even greater heights. The race for Rassie is on, and the outcome will shape South African rugby for years to come.